What is going on, everyone? Derek Hudson here with Tackle Tip Tuesday, and I just put a post out talking about the FG knot and how difficult that thing is to tie. I've practiced a lot with it, and to be honest, it's a great knot. When you get it tied, it passes through your guys really great, and it is super strong. But it is the hardest, one of the hardest knots to tie. And I recently, this past year, stumbled across a video where Brandon Palaniuk, one of the best anglers of all time with a spinning rod in his hand, has won more money with a spinning rod than I could even dream of winning. And he said that he doesn't go for the FG knot. He goes for the Crazy Alberto. And I just wanted to share with you a couple things that I've learned watching his video and my experience with it. I used to tie the Crazy Alberto, just to give you a little history. It was a standing knot for me for a long time. I had some really good finishes with the Crazy Alberto fishing light line at Smith Mountain Lake and whatnot. And it was always a little bit of a hindrance to me because when I'm doing short casts, like skipping under docks, stuff like that, the knot seemed to be a knot that wanted to catch my guides. And until I watched Brandon Palaniuk's video, I didn't realize what I was doing wrong. And so the big key takeaway, if you've been tying the Crazy Alberto and you find that you are getting your knot to catching your guides, like you go to cast and you can hear it just tick, 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 like catching your guides as it's passing out, so it's not making you have as smooth a cast as it can, it's because you're not cutting your tag short enough. And Brandon Palaniuk, when he explained his Crazy Alberto, he does a couple things that, and this is, I'm giving him full credit. He's the guru on finesse fishing that has brought this to my attention, that this is the best. And sure enough, I use it for the rest of the season this year, and by God, it's definitely, it's a game changer, the way he ties his Crazy Alberto. So I'm going to show you how I do it and show you the tricks, the little tips. I'll make sure I point them out. The little tips that Brandon Palaniuk said that made all the difference in making the Crazy Alberto not only a fast knot to tie, it's a super fast knot to tie. I do not get concerned if I break off a leader in a tournament situation and I have to retie, or if I'm getting like really short on my leader and I'm like, you know, I wish I had more leader. It only takes a couple minutes. Get down, tie it, and I don't have to have a pressure on my rod and a bunch of crazy other things. It's really simple to tie. So, Crazy Alberto, I'm going to show you how it's done, show you how Brandon Palaniuk, basically the little tips that he has, because those things are what make this knot, by far, to me, the best for connecting your braid, your heavy braid. I got a pretty heavy 65-pound test, so maybe you can see it a little better in the description here. And then to your fluoro. When you're connecting the two, this by far is the best knot. So let's start off with the fluoro. You know, fluoro leaders on spinning gear, most people are talking about 6, 8, 10, sometimes 12 if you're getting, you know, fishing around gnarly docks or whatever. But you're talking lighter lines. And on your braid, you typically want to go with a 15 or 20-pound test, which has got an equivalent size of, you know, 6-pound test. It's pretty small diameter. So what you're looking for is you want this to be a strong connection, because your lines you're fishing with are already super light, and you're already, you know, giving that fish a lot of advantage going with that light line. But sometimes you got to do that to get the bites. Sometimes you got to do that in order to, you know, capitalize on your day and get those finicky fish to eat your lure. So pick your fluoro, pick your braid, make a loop just like that in your fluoro, okay? And what this is going to do is this is going to be the actual top of the knot. When the knot gets wrapped around this leader, this is going to be the top. So you don't want to put a horrible kink here. You just want to kind of bend it a little bit, make a little loop. And then you want to take your braid and pass through that loop, okay? And after you pass through that loop, you want to crimp it with your fingers to hold it there, okay? And what that's going to do is that's going to keep the loop from twisting as you're wrapping. But it's also going to give your direction of which way you need to go back through when you come back up. You'll see in a second. It keeps it in place and keeps it where you can see that. So then, after you give yourself a good 5 or 6 inch leader, or 5 or 6 inch tag on the braid, then you want to take and just start wrapping with your other fingers. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You go 7 times, okay? You see that right there? 7 times. Then you're gonna pinch the bottom. So I let go of the top and I pinch the bottom where I stopped. And it's doing the same thing you were doing up here. It's gonna keep that loop from spinning on you, and it's gonna keep the rest of the knot from trying to unravel, so like that. You got it pinched down here. Then I take and just keep going the same direction you were just doing, but now you're still wrapping in the same direction, but now you're gonna wanna work your way back up that same knot. And what that's doing is it's making the braid, it's making it cross over itself, going up the knot. And it's gonna be like a Chinese finger trap. So it's gonna cinch into itself and it's gonna kind of bite itself. And what it's eventually gonna do is gonna bite that fluorocarbon leader and hold it there, because there's no knot basically to the fluorocarbon leader. It's just wrapped in one time. So what it's doing is it's making that braid Chinese finger trap that fluorocarbon. So then you wrap it around, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just keep working your way back up. 5, 6, 7, the exact same amount. Then when you get to the 7th one, you want to look at where you came through with your braid. I don't know if you can see that, but I came through this direction, okay? So now with the loop sideways, I'm going to want to go through the exact opposite way. So I'm going to want to go through back that loop. So after I wrapped it around my 7th time, I'm gonna want to take that tag and go back through the exact way I started. And what that does is it makes the tag and the main line of the braid lay beside each other. They're not on opposite ends of that loop. So they're on the same side, okay? Now I've got my knot done. You see that? But this is where Brandon Palaniuk's tips really come into play, okay? So I knew all this. Crazy Alberto, if you watch Crazy Alberto video, this is standard. I mean, you're gonna find 50 videos on YouTube explaining this knot. But this is where this knot gets set apart for being the cleanest knot going through your guides, and super strong, and just it's super simple to do. So 7-7, you can tell me explaining it to you, it really didn't take that long. But when you get used to it, you can knock it out in no time. But now you're gonna wet it. You're gonna get it good and wet. And what that's doing, that's gonna allow the fluorocarbon to slip through and cinch down. So now that you've got it wet, you're gonna grab the whole works, both tags, main tag on the leader, main and tag on the braid, and you're just gonna pull, okay? And you're gonna pull. All right, and then when you get to a point with this heavier line, it's a little bit harder, but you're gonna get to a point, you're gonna feel, as you're pulling, you're gonna feel like my tag, sometimes the tag is going to be on the braid, is going to cinch down first. And then the main line hasn't quite caught up yet. So you can just feel that. When you're pulling both of them, you can feel, oh, now the main line is starting to slip a little more. And you just let it do what it's gonna do to cinch down. And you can see, even with 65-pound braid right here, and 25-pound fluoro, yes, I went with heavy line to show you this. You can see that's still a super small, clean knot. Now, This is where Brandon Palaniuk's tricks come into play. Okay? And I don't know if he got this from somebody else, but he's the person I saw it from, and as good as he's done on this setup, I took his word for it. I tried it, and sure enough, it's been excellent for me this year. So when you get to this point, what you want to do is you want to take your tag for your braid and you want to do a half hitch. Okay? So just wrap around your main line and then pass through that loop you made, just like that. I don't know if you see that. See if you can see that. Okay? And then you'd want to cinch that down. And I like to take my teeth, grab it and give it a little tug. And what that does is it puts a top finish on top of that loop you had that was in the back of this knot. It puts a top finish of braid on top of that, but it also locks your braid in to where your braid has less chance of wanting to come unraveled or come undone. So take it, hold both lines, grab it with your teeth or a pair of pliers, and just cinch it down. So the half hitch has kind of just secured that last little bit. Now, this is the part that I didn't know until watching Brandon Palaniuk's video, and that is this knot is so strong, and this knot is such an awesome Chinese finger trap, grabbing that fluorocarbon. You can cut that leader, the tag of it, you can cut that as flush as you want. And I try to get it as super close to that braid without nicking that braided knot as I can. Then the braid, you can do the exact same thing. Boom. Now that you've done that, you've got a super strong knot, okay? Super small. Because you cut both of those tags, before I used to leave a decent little tag on the braid and a decent little tag on the fluoro because I was just so scared that it was going to undo. It doesn't. It is strong. It is a strong, strong knot. And the way it grabs that fluorocarbon and holds it in place just like a Chinese finger trap, that thing is not, I repeat, is not coming undone. I've broke off hundreds of lures this year, shaky head, stuff like that. I've broke off 5 fish that I can account for that were 4+ pounds, just because I was a bonehead and I would use too light a line around too heavy or gnarly a cover. But I have not, in a whole year fishing, I have not, cutting the tags that short, doing this knot, I have not broke it at the leader knot. It's always been somewhere in the leader. That's where it's always been, you know, and that's normally where the lure is or where your fray in your line is. But that right there, Brandon Palaniuk put that video out. I watched it and I was like, man, I used to tie the Crazy Alberto, but I always had problems with pass through the guides. But when he explained that you cut those tags as short as you possibly can, and this knot is super strong, even with that, it passes through your guides amazingly. So if you're having trouble with the tying an FG knot, which is a good knot, I'm not downplaying that knot at all, but if you're having trouble with that knot and you want a knot that is really good for connecting braid to fluoro, you really can't go wrong with the Crazy Alberto. Make sure you do that half hitch, 7 up, 7 down, and make sure you do really close cuts on your tags, and you will love this knot. And Brandon Palaniuk has nailed it on this one. It's by far my favorite. Quick, easy, strong, reliable. You really can't get any better. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate all your support. Good luck.